In the year 10191, humans have unfolded many secrets of the universe and now travel from planet to planet. Different planets have turned into different nations and are governed by a single Padishah emperor named Shaddam Carino IV. The planets have houses with their respective dukes who in turn follow the orders of the Emperor Shaddam. One of such planets is the planet of Arrakis. It is a harsh desert planet that is the only source of a rare substance called spice. Spice is a valuable substance that extends human vitality and is critical for interstellar travel. Hence, Arrakis, despite its harsh conditions, is considered the most valuable planet in the known universe. Because of this, the noble houses are eager to rule the planet. At the beginning of the movie, a native of the Arrakis named Cheney narrates that they have been ruled by the noble House Harkonnen for a long time. The House Harkonnen is cruel to natives of the Arrakis, but the poor natives cannot fight House Harkonnen, which is under the Emperor Shaddam's control. Cheney also says that one day, all of a sudden, House Harkonnen's troops leave Arrakis. But she is sure that the Emperor is going to send someone else to take their place and exploit their resources. The scene then changes to another planet named Caladan ruled by House Atreides. The prince of the Atreides, Paul, wakes up from a recurring dream. He has breakfast with his mother Lady Jessica, who is also a member of an organization called the Bene Gesserit. Bene Gesserit is an exclusive sisterhood organization whose members have advanced physical and mental abilities. Hence, Jessica also has the power to manipulate people's minds. She has been training Paul the organization's disciplines for a long time. Thus, Paul has powers to see the future and bears other unique powers that he is yet to discover. Paul's father Leto, who is also the Duke of House Atreides, has an important meeting with personnel from the Landsraad, the political body representing all the noble houses. In the evening, everyone in the Atreides welcomes the VIPs who have brought a note from the Emperor Shaddam himself. The Emperor, who has recently removed House Harkonnen from the Arrakis, wants Atreides to take Harkonnen's place. He wants Leto and his troops to be in charge of mining the spice from Arrakis. Duke Leto is apprehensive of the situation but follows the Emperor's orders. Whilst in the meeting, Jessica notices a member of the Bene Gesserit organization, Gaius Helen Mohayim, staring at Paul. The meeting ends when Leto marks a seal with his ring, confirming that they will follow the orders and go to Arrakis. In the following scene, we see Atreides' troops preparing to leave for Arrakis. Among the troop is their bravest soldier named Duncan, who is also Paul's close friend. Paul has been getting visions about Duncan's death in Arrakis, which he is worried about. Duncan assures him that he will be fine and leaves for the planet to prepare for Paul and the family's arrival. The following scene shows us Paul and his father Leto talking about various matters. Leto reveals that he has no interest in gaining wealth using the spice. Instead, he plans on befriending the people of the Arrakis called the Freemen. Unlike the former Duke, Harkonnen, he plans to treat the Freemen with respect so they can be a valuable asset to Atreides. Later, Paul and his associate, Halleck, practice a duel. They have a wrist device that creates a layer of protective force around their body. Halleck is worried that they will be attacked by the jealous Harkonnen, so he asks Paul to be careful when they reach Arrakis. Elsewhere, in the House of Harkonnen, the former ruler of the Arrakis, Duke Baron, and his rogue nephew Rabban talk about their last ship leaving the Arrakis, leaving the planet to the Atreides. Rabban belittles the Emperor for taking them off the Arrakis and handing it to the Atreides. But he is surprised when Baron reveals that the Emperor is actually planning on the Atreides' downfall because he is jealous of their growing popularity. The Emperor's plan is to kill Leto and all his men when they are mining spice in Arrakis. Back in the Caladan, Jessica wakes Paul up and takes him to a doctor to get his vitals checked. It turns out that the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohayim has come to know of Paul's visions and wants to check if he is the one they have been waiting for. She makes him put his hands on a box and test his impulse control, which he passes with great effort. After Mohayim leaves, Jessica tells Paul that the female organization, Bene Gesserit, has been steering the politics for years from the shadows. And they have also been carefully crossing bloodlines in order to give birth to the one man who will have the potential to save Arrakis from spice exploitation. It turns out the test Paul just passed shows him to be the one they have been looking for, the Messiah of Arrakis. The very next day, Arrakis, Leto, Paul, Jessica, and their troops leave for Arrakis and land on the planet. They are welcomed by the native freemen who have already been told that Paul is their Messiah, although Paul himself believes that it is just a superstition. Later, he is in his chamber learning about a massive sandworm found in Arrakis. To be safe from it, the freemen walk in irregular motions in the sand. As Paul watches holograms, a deadly insect emerges from a wall and tries to kill him. But Paul saves himself at the right time. On investigating, it is found that a Harkonnen soldier has been hiding in the walls to kill Paul. The scene shifts to Baron meeting Mohayim. She knows about the Emperor and Baron's plan to attack Atreides but cannot do anything because it is the Emperor's order. However, she asks Baron not to kill Jessica and Paul. Baron agrees to do as she says, but plans to throw the two in the sand for the sandworms to kill. Back on Arrakis, a meeting is held where the officials discuss their plan to mine the spices. It is revealed that the Harkonnens have left them with damaged equipment, setting them up for failure. After a while, Paul reunites with Duncan, who had been sent to prepare for their arrival. Duncan says that he has been living with the Freemen in deserts for 4 weeks. He tells them all about their ways to survive and also about a Freeman community called Siege and their leader Stilgar. Stilgar has also come to meet Leto. Leto offers him to work together with the Atreides, but Stilgar belittles him from taking from their land without any returns to the people of their land. They separate on a good note after Leto promises to never harm the Sieges. The next day, Leto and his team go to inspect the spice sand that they will be mining from. They meet a Fremen and an Imperial ecologist named Dr. Leetkines. She checks the integrity of Leto's sand suit, which is supposed to recycle sweat and urine from a person's body into drinking water. While checking Paul's suit, Kynes notices that he knows Freeman's ways of wearing the suit despite it being his first time. This makes her think of a prophecy that says their Messiah will know their ways of life despite being from another land. Kynes also believes Paul to be the one. After that, all of them leave to inspect the spice sand. While sightseeing, they see 2 sandworms approaching the harvester that mines the spice. It seems to be a usual problem as a carrier is sent to lift the harvester to get it out of the worm's reach. However, the carrier's anchor breaks and it is unable to lift the machine. A crew of 21 are inside the harvester who are about to be attacked by the worms. Leto acts quickly and orders everyone to get their aircraft closer to the device and get the crew on board. They land on the sand minutes before the worm attacks and manage to save the crew. However, Paul detects whiffs of spice in the process and gets a vision. When he returns home, he is still dizzy and the doctor concludes it as an allergy. However, Paul claims that he saw a Freeman girl in his vision and he knows it wasn't just an allergy. He also tells Jessica that she is pregnant, but Jessica dismisses it. The scene then shifts to the Imperial Army planet where a battalion is being prepared to attack Atreides and kill Leto and his family. They are called the Army of Sedukar, who are said to be the deadliest army in the known world. Back in Arrakis, the doctor brings Paul a medicine to help him with the allergies. But little does Paul know, the doctor has made a deal with Baron and the medicine will make Paul unconscious. Leto and Jessica are also given medicines for their sleep. Jessica takes it but Leto doesn't. After a while the army of Sedukar attacks them. Leto wakes up and realizes what is happening. But before he can do anything, the doctor hits him with a dart that slowly makes him unconscious. Outside, the Sedukar army wreaks havoc in the place, taking the Atreides' army by surprise. Since the Sedukar is double in number and has several weapons, they soon overpower the Atreides. At the same time, the doctor tells an injured Leto that Baron has abducted his wife, so he had to do what he says. The doctor then takes off Leto's ring to give it to Paul. He also places a poisonous molar tooth in Leto's jaw, saying that if he bites hard enough, the tooth with secret poisonous gas will kill everyone around. Meanwhile, the Sedukar army abducts Paul and Jessica to throw them in the sand. Paul wakes up in an aircraft with his mother gagged and tied beside him. She can use her power to manipulate people and make them do what they are told. So the two use their powers and manage to kill their abductors. Paul finds a Fremkit placed by the doctor for their help. After that, they escape in the middle of the desert. In the meantime, an unconscious Leto is taken to Baron and stripped naked. The doctor asks Baron to free his wife, but he is instead killed mercilessly. Baron then tells Leto that his bloodline will end today. Seeing no way to escape, Leto bites onto his teeth and lets out a poisonous gas that kills everyone in the room, including himself. Somewhere else, Paul and Jessica set up a tent using the kit. They also find a note from the doctor and Leto's ring. Looking at the ring, the two realize that Leto is deceased and weep, mourning his passing. The following morning, Duncan approaches the Freeman Imperial ecologist, Kynes, and asks her to assist in locating Paul and Jessica. Back in Baron's palace, his soldiers enter the room after the poisonous gas has dissipated. They are astonished to find that the Baron has affixed himself to the ceiling and is somehow unharmed. Meanwhile, Paul experiences hallucinations induced by the spice in the sand, foreseeing the impending holy war and millions of deaths, which causes him distress. Jessica soothes her son's anxiety. Later, Paul dons his father's ring, assuming the title of Duke of Atreides. They are soon discovered by Duncan, who kneels before Paul, addressing him as the Lord Duke. Subsequently, they are escorted to safety by Kynes to an old ecological station intended to provide water to Arrakis. However, the discovery of spice redirected attention away from the project. Later, the Sedukar army attacks, and Duncan sacrifices himself to protect Jessica and Paul, despite Paul's foreseen death. They manage to escape, with Jessica and Paul boarding an aircraft while Kynes plans to join them later. However, Kynes is captured by Seducer soldiers but summons a sandworm, which eliminates them. Paul's aircraft evades enemy pursuit by entering a sandstorm. In another scene, Baron tends to his injuries from the gas, learning from his nephew Rabban of Leto's demise and the end of his bloodline. Finally relieved that his adversary's house is obliterated, Baron commands Rabban to persist in harvesting the spice and exterminating all the freemen. Elsewhere, Paul and Jessica crash land in the desert but emerge unscathed. They don desert attire and set out to find the freemen for assistance. Paul, familiar with freeman ways, leads, avoiding worm attention. As they trek, Paul experiences visions of freemen, including a girl urging him onward. Resting briefly, they hear a menacing rumble, a sandworm nearby. They flee, the worm in pursuit, until a thumper diverts it. Stilgar, leader of the freemen, and his band encircle them. Initially, the freemen intend to kill Paul and Jessica for their bodily fluids, but Stilgar recognizes Paul as their prophesied messiah. Doubters challenge Paul's worthiness, insulting Jessica, but she proves her mettle, thwarting an attacker. They head to Siege Tabor for judgment. Cheney, the girl from Paul's visions, appears, introducing herself. Before departing, a freeman named James demands a duel, ending in death per tradition. Paul, skilled but hesitant, ultimately triumphs, but regrets the necessity. They carry James's body to Siege Tabor. The film concludes with Paul spotting a rider atop a colossal sandworm, with Cheney hinting at future challenges. The ending tantalizes viewers with the promise of sequels to unfold.